It is no secret that the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are two of the most heavily injured rosters in the NFL right now. For the Detroit Lions, it's the defensive side of the ball. It's DJ Reed, it's Terrion Arnold, it's Kirby Joseph, it's Brian Branch. It's so many players in the secondary, particularly, that are not going to be able to play and have cost the Detroit Lions a game likely in Kansas City and could cost them a game against Tampa Bay here tonight. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, is a team that has had a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Despite Baker Mayfield being an MVP candidate, he has played games now without Bucky Irving, without Emeka Egbuka, without Mike Evans, and without Chris Godwin. He has played pretty much the last 2 weeks without his primary targets, and the offense has been within a constant state of flux over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Despite that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have played really good. They played the Eagles to within one score, they beat the San Francisco 49ers, and they played some really impressive football over the last couple of weeks, despite missing some of their top weapons. The Detroit Lions and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are two of the best teams in professional football. It should be a very fun game here tonight. But how do the injuries look, and how do they shape up for Monday Night Football? Who will the Detroit Lions be without? Who will the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be without? And how will it impact the game at the end? Well, let's take a look. The Lions have officially released the players that will not play on Monday night. That includes Kirby Joseph, who was out with a knee injury, Avonte Maddox, who was still out with a hamstring injury, who remains out with a groin injury, and Terrion Arnold, who remains out with a shoulder injury. Now, it is worth saying that Terrion Arnold was limited in practice on Friday, meaning he could have potentially been in the rotation and could have potentially played had the Detroit Lions really wanted to push it. But I think they view this game as a very important game to win, but not a must-win game. I think they would rather have a 100% healthy Terrion Arnold back after the bye week, as opposed to putting him there as an injury risk, knowing that even if you lose this game, you go into the bye week 4-3, and you come out facing some pretty favorable matchups in 3 of your next 4 contests. A couple of the guys that are questionable for the Detroit Lions include Taylor Decker, who I think should play, was limited in practice all week up until Saturday, where he did not practice. ALIM McNeil, who was limited in practice all week long. He actually was full practice for a couple of those days. He should be going, and based on the comments of Dan Campbell, he will be suiting up here tonight. And then, of course, DJ Reader, who started the week not practicing at all for the team, but then on Friday and Saturday was limited throughout practice sessions and should be good to go for the Lions moving forward. The good news for these injuries is that the Detroit Lions defensive line will be stronger than it has been the rest of the season. Aiden Hutchinson will be starting alongside ALIM McNeil and DJ Reader. Tyleik Williams will provide a very strong rotation along with Al-Qaeda Muhammad and some of the other players that have been rotating at edge over the last couple of weeks. The bad news is, despite the pass rush being very good, the secondary is not. This is somewhat of a opposite Matt Patricia era, whereas in Matt Patricia's era, it was all about the secondary and being dominant there. This time it's going to have to be the pass rush, and that philosophy is going to have to be tested. The people that argued for pass rush all offseason, that saying the cornerbacks don't matter if the pass rush isn't good, well, we're going to have to make sure the pass rush is good so the secondary can thrive. Because as of right now, it's Amik Robertson as your cornerback 1, Rock Ya-Sin as your cornerback 2, which actually I don't believe is too poor of a duo, despite playing a very strong Buccaneers offense. Where it gets quite scary is Arthur Mollett will likely start at slot cornerback, Thomas Harper will likely start at free safety, and Eric Hallett, a practice squad level player, will likely be starting at strong safety for Detroit. Now, they could potentially call up Kendall Fuller. They could potentially call up a couple other players from the secondary. That has yet to be seen to my knowledge, but that is likely your starting secondary. And while the cornerbacks aren't awful, I think the safety play is going to be something to be desired tonight. I think we're going to be missing Kirby Joseph quite a bit. We're going to be missing Brian Branch a ton tonight, and that's going to be where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can look to take advantage. That's going to be where they have to win this game, is passing the football, running the ball. They are not going to win on the ground. They are not going to win rushing the football without Bucky Irving particularly. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers throw the ball 50 times tonight and they run it 10. That's going to be the game plan. Air the football out, play the pass, and hopefully you can take advantage of a very injury-riddled Detroit Lions secondary, especially with some of the injury news that Tampa Bay got. Now, they are without a couple stars. Chris Godwin will not play, and Bucky Irving is continuing to be out with the injury that he has suffered. I believe his injury is a foot and a shoulder injury, so he's missing a couple of weeks with multiple injuries. But what the good news is, as the Buccaneers got a couple players back. Lavonte David is questionable, not practicing either Friday nor Thursday, but he did practice partially on Saturday. You have Mike Evans, who practiced one full practice at the end of the week and was limited on Friday and Saturday, meaning he is likely to start and play for Tampa Bay. And then you have Emeka Egbuka, who did not practice Thursday and Friday. It looked as though it was a very clear out for the Detroit Lions not to have to face him, but after being limited in practice on Saturday, he is now questionable for the game as well. This one I think is far more of a 50-50 toss-up if he plays versus if he does not. I think if they have Mike Evans, they're going to be more likely to rest their young rookie star, but if he's able to go, he's going to be very impactful in this game. He's going to be playing Rocky Sin as the cornerback too. He's going to be playing Eric Hallett as the over-the-top safety, and after some of the plays he's made against good secondaries this year, it does worry me that they will potentially give up some big plays. Now, that being said, there are two scenarios for this game. There is a best case scenario and there is a worst case scenario, and I'm not sure there's too much in between. Let's take a look at the best case scenario. The pass rush for the Detroit Lions dominates. Aiden Hutchinson gets 3 sacks. ALIM McNeill makes a big difference. DJ Reader continues to draw double teams. And the Lions walk away with 5, 6, 7 sacks like they did against Baltimore in a very strong defensive win for them. The Lions get to Baker Mayfield. They limit the big plays over the top. And while the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers likely still score 28, 30 points, the Detroit Lions offense can control the game, and they put up well over 30 on a Tampa Bay defense that has been okay this year but hasn't been fantastic. And the Lions win this game in a high-scoring affair, a shootout, and one of the classic 2023 Detroit Lions victories. The worst case scenario here is that the Lions offense continues to stall out at inconvenient times. We saw it at points versus Cincinnati, and we definitely saw it for a large majority of the game versus Kansas City. Now, if that were to be the case, the Detroit Lions, of course, lose. They go into the bye week 4-3, but they have quite a bit of hope. Coming out of the bye week, they will almost certainly be returning Terrion Arnold. They will almost certainly be returning Kirby Joseph. They will definitely be returning Brian Branch. They will almost certainly return Avonte Maddox, and they will have 3 of their next 4 home games that look pretty favorable. They play Minnesota at home, who doesn't look like a very strong team. They're having quarterback issues. If Carson Wentz is still the quarterback playing, that should be a victory for them. And even the tape that J.J. McCarthy put on doesn't look fantastic for Minnesota. That should be a win based on how both teams are playing at this point in time. The Washington Commanders do not look like a strong offense at this point. Their defense continues to be a liability. Their offense cannot put up points. Jaden Daniels has been injury prone this season and has missed several games due to certain injuries. If the Detroit Lions defense is healthy and they can get to the quarterback consistently, they should beat Washington as well, just like the Bears did, just like a couple other teams have done, and just like the Cowboys did last night. And then they, of course, go to Philadelphia, which would be a very tough victory, but not an impossible one. Philadelphia hasn't looked perfect or nearly as dominant as many people believe they would be. And then they play the Giants at home, who, while being a scrappy football team, really thrive on a powerful, dominant run game. And the Detroit Lions front seven, should it be healthy, should be able to, at the least, contain Cam Skattebo to less than 3 touchdowns and 150 yards. I'm not saying that it'll be an easy victory, but I think it is a victory the Lions should have in hand if they end up making it that far healthy. Meaning, of the next 4 games after the bye, the Lions should go at minimum 3-1 in my opinion, meaning in a worst case scenario, meaning they lose against Tampa Bay and they lose against Philadelphia, the Lions are 7-4 going into the final month of the NFL season. Is that fantastic? No. Is that good enough to be in contention for a wild card spot, if not potentially a division victory, a division crown, and a home playoff berth? You're in a spot where you can do that. And then you, of course, go into the latter part of your season. You go into the rest of your year, and you play some teams like the Steelers, who I think you should beat. You play some teams like Dallas, who I think you are better than. You play some, the Bears again, who you dominated by 30 points. There is 10, 11, 12 victories left on this schedule, even if the Detroit Lions lose on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even if they lose against the Philadelphia Eagles, even if they lose against the Rams, there is still 10, 11, 12 victories in this schedule for the Lions to take. Whether that's good enough for a wild card victory, whether that's good enough for a home playoff game in the divisional round, it's good enough to be in a position at that point in time. So yes, this game tonight is important. Yes, the Lions can make a major statement if they do find victory, but it's not the end of the world if they lose. The Lions haven't lost back-to-back games since 2022, when they lost to Carolina on the road with a chance to really put themselves in playoff contention. The Lions are a different football team now. They don't lose back-to-back games. They succeed through adversity, and they are a team that should be able to at least play this game very close, at least be very competitive in this game. and I would not be surprised if the Lions pull it out. They are currently 5.5-point favorites somehow, some way against Baker Mayfield's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, if they'll cover the spread, but I think it should be a good game. The Lions hopefully will take the victory here, and we will see a very strong showing from the Lions here tonight. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below your opinions and your predictions for this game. I'd love to hear them down below. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.